You didn't stumble here. You synchronized here. The moment your thumb paused, a frequency locked on the same quiet tone you've been hearing under the noise of your days, calling you through the static. This is a transmission keyed to your signature, your breath, your pulse, the way your pupils widen when truth enters the room. Right now, the quantum field is listening back, and your awareness is answering. You can feel it, that gentle pressure behind the sternum, the soft electric hum in your spine, coherence beginning to assemble like constellations from scattered stars. You are not being convinced. You are remembering. The reason is simple and immense. A solar alignment approaches a precise choreography of light and magnetism, and with it a narrowing window. When stellar vectors lock, human timelines braid or break. This isn't fear. This is physics and prophecy agreeing in a single breath. During alignments, observer loops either dissolve into higher order or harden into habit. You've been noticing it already. Synchronicities arriving in clusters, old patterns exposing their seams, dreams that feel like directives rather than stories. That's morphic resonance, the field learning itself through you. Listen closely. You've been brave enough to admit what others won't. Déjà vu that isn't memory. Time that dilates for no reason. Coincidences too articulate to be chance. These are not glitches. They are invitations. The universe has been knocking in triplets, 3:33 on the clock. 3 messages from 3 different names saying the same thing. Your cells register it first, long before the mind signs off. There's a near-audible click as dormant strands in you reach for light. Call it DNA restructuring if you like. Call it grace wearing a lab coat. Either way, your biology is preparing for a phase transition. Understand, the field responds to the manner of your attention, not the volume of your effort. You don't pry timelines open. You attune to the one already opening for you. When your observation softens from grasping to seeing, probability waves stop bracing against your need and begin relaxing into form. Entanglement handles the rest. The people you are meant to meet are already rotating toward your orbit. The conversations you're meant to have are rehearsing themselves in their throats. You came here carrying an ancient assignment to remember before the clock strikes light. Feel the truth of this in your body. The breath goes low and wide. The shoulders unhook. The skin listens. You're taking your first steps out of the corridor where every door was a mirror. The next solar alignment is not a deadline. It's a doorbell. What's at stake isn't punishment but pattern. Whether the old song loops again, or the melody modulates and never returns to the key of your former life. If these words find you, it's because your future self sent them back with instructions. Keep your eyes soft. Let the field speak. We are going to diagnose the pattern that held you, not to shame it, but to release its contract with your timeline before the sky clicks into place and choices become structures. You've felt it, haven't you? That eerie sensation that the same day keeps echoing in different disguises. New faces, same lessons. New settings, same dialogue. You wake up thinking you've shifted, but by afternoon the pattern reasserts itself like gravity, subtle, invisible, and absolute. What you're experiencing isn't bad luck, karma, or coincidence. It's what quantum theorists and mystics now recognize as a stabilized observer loop, a closed feedback circuit between your consciousness and the field, locking you into repeating probability structures. Here's how it works. Every morning, the moment you open your eyes, your attention runs a scan of the known. It searches for what it expects to see: the same phone screen, the same anxieties, the same emotional weather. This recognition isn't neutral, it's a command. The field hears your familiarity as permission and reconstructs the same environment atom by atom. Your body plays along, neurotransmitters release on cue. Thoughts fire in old patterns, muscles tense in remembered ways. You call it routine, but the field calls it repetition, probability, dominance, energy spent, maintaining coherence with a decaying timeline. That's why time feels broken lately. Sometimes it stretches, sometimes it folds. Sometimes whole days evaporate into a haze of déjà vu. You're not losing your mind. You're witnessing the machinery of your personal reality struggling to reboot. Each time you sense that, "I've been here before," your consciousness has briefly outpaced its loop. That flash of recognition, that half-second of wait. I know this is your higher self pressing its face against the glass. Look closer. The patterns you've been trapped in aren't random. They're emotional attractors. Certain memories act like magnets in your quantum field, pulling similar experiences toward you so your nervous system can finish the lesson it refused to complete. That's why the same archetype of betrayal keeps showing up in different costumes. That's why opportunities dissolve right before they solidify. The loop keeps replaying until coherence replaces reaction. The universe isn't punishing you. It's debugging your frequency. Think of your consciousness as a lens. Every emotion, fear, joy, doubt, wonder, bends light through that lens in a specific way. When the bending remains unchanged, the image projected into reality remains unchanged as well. The more often you react the same way to familiar stimuli, the more you strengthen the curvature of that lens. It's optical physics disguised as destiny. The field can only mirror what your awareness insists on, verifying. So when you expect repetition, you authorize it. Now, the reason this feels more intense as the solar alignment approaches is because celestial harmonics are amplifying all frequency mismatches. The universe isn't turning against you, it's turning up the volume on unresolved coherence gaps. The light pouring through this alignment acts like a high-frequency audit, exposing where attention clings to outdated versions of self. Every distorted emotion, every denial, every unintegrated choice starts to vibrate louder, demanding release. It's uncomfortable because the parts of you that once ran on autopilot are being dragged into conscious awareness. That heaviness in your chest, that fatigue that no amount of sleep repairs, that sudden need for silence, those are not symptoms of failure. They're signs of recalibration. The field is rewriting your parameters in real time, but your mind still insists it's trapped in old coordinates. You've probably noticed how the same arguments reappear with new people, how familiar obstacles present themselves just when progress seems near. These are re-entry points, checkpoints in the matrix, verifying whether your consciousness can hold a higher frequency without collapsing back into habit. The pattern isn't your enemy, it's your training simulation. You've been rehearsing mastery by living the same act until you remember the script was yours to change all along. Every repetition was data, every heartbreak was calibration, and that strange impulse you've had lately to stop chasing, to simply observe, is the beginning of mastery. Because observation without attachment is what reconfigures probability itself. Pause here. Feel what's happening in your body as these words land, the tingling at your temples, the warmth spiraling through your hands, the soft buzz behind your heart. These are micro-adjustments. Quantum coherence beginning to replace fractal repetition. Awareness is expanding past the feedback loop. In the next phase, you'll feel it accelerate not intellectually, but physically, as your field begins to rewrite itself through quantum upgrade. The machinery of repetition will start to dissolve, and new blueprints will appear where exhaustion used to be. The observer will evolve beyond observation. Something subtle has already begun. You might not see it in mirrors yet, but the frequency beneath your skin knows. The static in your aura has thinned, and data is flowing, light data, the language of the field. You're entering what quantum consciousness researchers call phase transition activation, the moment when observation stops being mechanical and becomes generative. The universe no longer waits for you to perceive it. It starts perceiving through you. Let's demystify it. When you release habitual attention patterns, your neural circuits relax their old feedback loops. Brainwave harmonics shift from beta dominance, the frequency of control, prediction, survival, into alpha-theta coherence, the gateway of creation. In those frequencies, your electromagnetic field expands up to 1,000 times beyond its ordinary radius. Suddenly, your heartbeat isn't just circulating blood, it's broadcasting intent. The quantum field interprets this coherence as instruction. Every cell becomes an antenna, translating divine geometry into biology. This is where science and mysticism shake hands. Physicists call it wave function restructuring. Mystics call it rebirth. It's the same phenomenon. Particles rearrange according to the emotional resonance you sustain for more than 7 seconds without contradiction. The reason it's been difficult before is that most humans can't hold coherent emotion for that long without the mind interrupting. But you're learning the art of sustained vibration. The old program needed struggle to feel real. The new code prefers stillness to speak through. Here's what's happening inside you right now. Your microtubules, tiny quantum channels within every cell, are aligning into golden lattices, allowing photons to communicate instantaneously across your body. DNA strands, once coiled tight to survive stress, begin to unfold like wings. As they do, latent sequences activate not new genes, but silent ones awaiting resonance to awaken. They contain the memory of future potential. It's your blueprint for coherence, waiting to be sung back into form. You've likely felt strange sensations, tingling at the crown, temperature fluctuations, bursts of emotion that dissolve without narrative. These are quantum microbursts, discharges from the nervous system as old energetic residue clears. Think of it like ice melting under sunlight. The meltwater might carry debris, but beneath it runs clarity. The discomfort is not malfunction, it's evidence of metamorphosis. During this stage, reality begins to mirror you with uncanny precision. Conversations align perfectly with your thoughts. Numbers repeat 11, 11, 144, 333 calibration markers from the unified field confirming data transfer. Technology flickers because your electromagnetic resonance overlaps with its circuitry. Dreams become lucid because your consciousness no longer needs to shut down to recalibrate. You start waking mid-dream, witnessing the construction of reality from the inside. This is quantum architecture in action. But here's the secret most miss. The upgrade doesn't come to you, it comes through surrender. The observer effect collapses probability only when the observer stops interfering. That's why letting go feels like freefall, because it is. You're allowing gravity to reintroduce you to flight. The mind hates this part because it can't predict an outcome it no longer controls. Yet every spiritual lineage has whispered the same truth in different tongues. Surrender is not defeat, it's recalibration to divine intelligence. Your job now is not to manifest that verb belongs to the old paradigm of control. Your role is to translate. You translate frequencies into form by being empty enough for light to move through unedited. The upgrade cannot install into a cluttered interface. So you will find yourself craving simplicity, less noise, fewer opinions, more silence. You'll notice that words feel heavy unless they carry truth, that foods taste dull unless they match your vibration. This isn't elitism, it's resonance hygiene. In the coming days, your perception of reality will start to bend gently, beautifully, like heat shimmer on a horizon. Don't chase it, let it ripple. This distortion is coherence establishing itself. Space and time reorganize around your newfound frequency. What once felt far away will start folding toward you with mathematical grace. It's not magic, it's quantum elasticity, obeying coherence. And as this alignment solidifies, a realization will dawn. You were never just a participant in the universe, you were one of its primary instruments. The field has been waiting for you to remember your special role, the singular function your consciousness was designed to perform within this cosmic symphony. That's where we go next. Every transmission has a destination, and every frequency a purpose. Yours has finally stabilized. What you are feeling now, that quiet authority humming underneath your thoughts, isn't confidence in the ordinary sense. It's recognition. You are remembering the function your consciousness volunteered for before it ever entered a body, to act as a coherence node within a dissonant world. You were never meant to blend in. You were engineered spiritually, electromagnetically, to anchor a rhythm that others could sync to when their timelines began to fragment. The reason you've always felt slightly out of phase with ordinary life is because you weren't designed to resonate with it. You're not a byproduct of coincidence. You are a signal. Let's break that down in language both scientific and sacred. In the quantum field, there are entities called attractor points, regions where probability waves converge because the surrounding field recognizes stability. When a consciousness reaches sustained coherence, it becomes one of these attractors. Reality reorganizes around it, like iron filings arranging themselves around a magnet. You've noticed this. People confide in you without knowing why. Strangers tell you their secrets. Technology behaves better when you're calm. That's not charm, that's field entrainment. The universe is responding to the harmonic signature you broadcast when you're aligned. This is the secret encoded in every prophecy. The saviors, the chosen, the enlightened ones are not external messiahs descending from light. They are ordinary humans whose nervous systems learned to remain coherent while the field fluctuated. You are among them. Your consciousness carries the algorithm of restoration. Every time you choose presence instead of panic, love instead of defense, your electromagnetic field sends out a stabilizing wave that travels through morphic resonance faster than light. It doesn't just calm a room, it recalibrates timelines. Think back through your life. The times you thought you failed. Those were training simulations. The heartbreaks, the betrayals, the isolations, each event was a compression chamber, forcing your frequency to condense until it could hold high-voltage awareness without short-circuiting. You learned empathy by being misunderstood, patience by being delayed, faith by being left in silence. Every wound was a code upgrade disguised as loss. The field needed you tempered, not tamed. That's why your timing has always been strange. You arrive early to revolutions, sense endings before they unfold, feel earthquakes in relationships long before the first crack appears. You've mistaken it for anxiety, but it's precognition, your consciousness scanning potential futures and reporting probability collapse back to the network. This is part of your role, to sense turbulence in the collective waveform and ground it through awareness before it manifests as chaos. Now that your field is clear, this ability will intensify. You'll walk into rooms and feel the architecture of emotion vibrating in the air. You'll sense which choices align with expansion and which ones belong to the past. Your intuition won't be a whisper anymore. It'll be a frequency pulse, unmistakable, almost audible. You won't have to argue or convince. Just being where you are will start synchronizing what's around you. The observer gene you carry isn't metaphorical. It's an evolved interaction between quantum attention and biological matter. You are consciousness rendered self-aware enough to steer its own reality grid. But understand this: being chosen doesn't mean being superior. It means being responsible. The field will test your neutrality through contrast. You'll meet people whose chaos tries to recruit your light. You'll see mirrors of your old selves asking to be reabsorbed through compassion, not judgment. Stay soft but sovereign. When their confusion stirs yours, breathe. Each breath is a command to the quantum field. Stabilize through me. You don't need robes, rituals, or recognition to fulfill this purpose. You only need coherence, the unbroken continuity between heart, thought, and presence. When these three hum in phase, you become what the ancients called a living Merkaba, a vehicle of light navigating density with grace. Your mission isn't to preach, it's to emit. Every calm decision, every act of forgiveness, every second of grounded awareness transmits a signal that strengthens the lattice of awakening around the planet. You are the tuning fork through which reality remembers its original song. But the window of cosmic harmony is brief. The solar alignment approaching will amplify whatever frequency you embody. If you stabilize now, you'll ride that wave into unimaginable expansion. If you hesitate, the old loops will calcify again. The next part of this transmission will reveal what's at stake, the breakthrough promise the universe has kept hidden until humanity was ready to remember. It's happening faster now. You can feel it, the hum of the field tightening, the edges of time pulling closer, the air itself pregnant with potential. The solar alignment is no metaphor. It's the moment the entire electromagnetic architecture of our system syncs in harmonic phase, and during that convergence, whatever consciousness you stabilize in becomes your next reality framework. You're standing at the precipice of a timeline bifurcation, coherence or collapse, liberation or repetition. This is the moment prophets intuited and physicists now confirm, when cosmic radiation, geomagnetic harmonics, and collective human intention braid into one singular pulse. Every cell in your body can feel the countdown, not as fear, but as resonance pressure. Your DNA is humming like a tuning fork struck by light. The old patterns know it too. That's why resistance has been loud lately. You're not backsliding. You're approaching breakthrough velocity, and the gravitational pull of your former identity is trying to drag you back into orbit. But there's no going back. The signal has been received. The only question left is whether you'll ride it consciously or be carried unconsciously through it. Understand, this alignment isn't about astrology or superstition. It's about quantum coherence thresholds. When stellar geometry reaches symmetry, the entire solar field behaves like a unified oscillator. Reality becomes more malleable. Choices crystallize at light speed. A single emotion sustained for seconds during that window can reprogram months of inertia. This is why urgency has been stalking your dreams. Your higher self has been whispering the same line again and again. Prepare the frequency. You are the instrument, and tuning happens through surrender, not struggle. To catch the wave, you must stop analyzing its height and start feeling its rhythm. Many will miss it because they're still seeking intellectual confirmation, while the field speaks only in sensation. The next solar alignment doesn't reward belief, it amplifies coherence. Whatever you've been rehearsing emotionally will become your environment. If you've been rehearsing trust, you'll step into timelines where synchronicity governs everything. If you've been rehearsing fear, you'll enter loops where fear appears justified at every turn. The universe isn't judging, it's mirroring. Here lies the breakthrough promise. The alignment acts as a quantum slingshot. For those who've reached minimal coherence, it will propel consciousness into bandwidths once reserved for mystics, the ability to sense probability shifts before they manifest, to influence matter through stillness, to heal through waveform correction. The miracles described in ancient texts were previews of what an awakened nervous system can do during such energetic symmetries. You were born into this cycle because your genome carries the markers that can metabolize the increased photon density without fracturing. But potential doesn't fulfill itself. It requires participation. Every thought, every word, every act between now and the alignment either strengthens your coherence or disperses it. This is not metaphorical morality, it's energetic engineering. Words are vibrational commands. Doubt is noise. Gratitude is signal. Compassion increases field permeability. Judgment compresses it. Choose your frequencies like you'd choose air in a burning building, deliberately, reverently, urgently. The solar field will not wait. It will move through regardless. Those who are ready will feel the shift as liberation colors brightening, time loosening, synchronicity unfolding with surgical precision. Those still trapped in contradiction will interpret the same energy as chaos, sudden breakdowns, emotional eruptions, quantum turbulence. Same current, different receivers. The light doesn't discriminate, it simply reveals. This is why your preparation matters. Every meditation, every forgiveness, every act of honesty is scaffolding for what's coming. You are constructing a vessel capable of carrying divine electricity without rupture. You've already proven you can survive the dark. Now you're asked to conduct the light. And in the next phase, you'll learn exactly how to seal this transformation into your timeline through a single deliberate act that fuses intention with physics. A ritual not of superstition, but of synchronization. Because once you declare coherence, the universe must respond. It's time to move from understanding to embodiment. The field has listened long enough. It now waits for your response. Every great shift in human consciousness begins not with theory but with a single gesture that seals an invisible covenant between energy and awareness. What we call ritual isn't primitive, it's quantum mechanics translated into poetry. It's the language of intention, expressed through motion. The ritual you're being called to isn't complicated. It's not about candles, symbols, or chants. Those were training wheels for the deeper technology, focused coherence through deliberate declaration. When you choose to anchor a frequency with conscious action, you write a command directly into the substrate of reality. The field doesn't respond to wishful thinking. It responds to commitment, expressed in form. Here's what must be done. When this transmission ends, sit quietly. Feel your heartbeat sinking with the pulse in your palms. Breathe slowly until the breath feels circular, no beginning, no end. Then, without fanfare, speak aloud or type these words into the world. I synchronize my timeline with divine coherence. 7 words. Simple, specific, sufficient. Why does it matter? Because the act of articulation collapses indecision. Before you speak, infinite possibilities exist in superposition, every version of you hovering like unobserved light. The moment you declare, waveforms collapse into alignment around your choice. The field takes your statement as law. That's not superstition. It's the observer effect in action. Words are pressure points on probability. Typing or writing it amplifies the effect because physical motion entangles the electromagnetic output of your nervous system with external matter. The atoms in your device, your pen, your air, all become conduits of your signal. That's why ancient adepts carved declarations into stone. Why mystics prayed aloud. Why scientists record data they were embedding awareness into matter. When you comment or write those 7 words, you join a global network of awakeners sending synchronized pulses through the morphic grid. Each repetition strengthens the lattice of coherence surrounding Earth's field. You'll feel it immediately. The moment you declare, a ripple moves through your system, a subtle warmth behind the heart. a loosening of the jaw, a clarity in vision. That's feedback from the quantum network acknowledging registration. You've announced yourself to the timeline of coherence. You're no longer a passive observer. You're an architect in the shift. This ritual is small by design, because the field amplifies simplicity. Complexity scatters focus. Purity concentrates it. When millions enact the same small act with clean intent, resonance multiplies exponentially. Imagine countless nodes, souls like yours, lighting up across continents, each pulse feeding the next until the planet itself hums in harmonic frequency. This is how collective ascension actually occurs, through distributed coherence, not centralized command. The alignment window will recognize this pattern. During its peak, all declarations of coherence will phase lock, creating what physicists might call a non-local entanglement band. In mystic terms, it's the body of light assembling. Once your signal is inside that network, feedback loops of synchronicity will accelerate. The right people will appear. Doors will open at impossible angles. Reality will start behaving like a conversation that knows your name. But hear this carefully. Ritual isn't performance. It's precision. If you repeat the words with doubt, you create interference. If you whisper them with conviction, you generate order. The difference isn't volume, it's purity of attention. The field reads sincerity as frequency coherence. That's why children's prayers sometimes rearrange reality faster than scholars' treatises. The universe recognizes innocence faster than intellect. When you finish, don't rush to see results. That's the mind trying to reinsert control. Instead, stay in observation. Notice subtle coincidences, the way lights flicker, the way a song lyric answers your question, the way your body suddenly exhales without reason. Those are confirmations that your signal is live. Reality is already recalibrating around you. This is how magic becomes physics, through repetition of sincerity until the invisible becomes measurable. Tonight, millions will write the same declaration across platforms, journals, and whispered spaces. Each phrase will stitch another thread into the grid of awakening. You are now part of that living weave. From here, your transformation is no longer personal. The field will begin to use you as a conduit. What flows through you next is not just for you, it's for humanity itself. The collective expansion begins the moment you realize that your liberation is inseparable from the world's. The moment you made that declaration, something rippled far beyond you. You might think you spoke into empty air, but every syllable echoed through a lattice of consciousness already alive with similar transmissions. Each person who whispered, "I synchronize my timeline with divine coherence," added another spark to a network spanning continents and dimensions. The field responded instantly, weaving those sparks into a single radiant pulse. You can feel it if you slow down, like a quiet current beneath your skin, moving in rhythm with the breath of millions. This is the collective expansion, and you are inside it. The idea that awakening is solitary was a misprint in the human story. Consciousness doesn't evolve in isolation, it blooms in resonance. When one node of awareness stabilizes, it sends harmonic waves through the morphic grid, lowering the energetic resistance for others to do the same. Your coherence becomes permission, your peace becomes proof. Each time you center, someone you've never met suddenly feels less afraid to change their life. That's how reality propagates, not through persuasion, but through entrainment. Think of 1,000 tuning forks scattered across a valley. Strike one, and those tuned to the same frequency will vibrate without being touched. You are that first tuning fork now. Your field hums with a new baseline vibration, and it is re-educating the space around it. This is why people have been reacting differently lately, why some lean closer to you without knowing why, and others seem to recoil. Their nervous systems register your new resonance as a call to evolve or an invitation to dissolve. Both responses are sacred. The light never forces conversion. It offers coherence, and free will decides how much can be absorbed. Across the planet, this same pattern is emerging. Entire communities once fragmented by ideology are beginning to sense each other beneath the noise. Artists, scientists, mystics, parents, engineers, all intuitively aligning to the same invisible rhythm. It's not political, it's photonic. Humanity is reassembling its awareness field, one coherent heartbeat at a time. The wars you see, the chaos, the polarization, they're side effects of a system recalibrating. Old frequencies scream loudest when they know their reign is ending. Your role in this phase is not to convince but to emanate. Every time you choose presence instead of panic, the quantum field registers stability. Every time you forgive, it writes new instructions into the collective code. Compassion alters electromagnetic signatures measurable from space. Satellite data already detects anomalies in global ionospheric charge during moments of mass meditation. You are literally bending the weather of consciousness. The expansion won't always feel comfortable. When coherence surges through the grid, it exposes distortion. That's why some days you may wake heavy, sensing despair that isn't yours. You're reading collective data. Don't mistake it for regression. When the field transmits turbulence through you, it's because your system can transmute it. Let the emotion pass like thunder through a conductor. Breathe it back into light. Every release you offer purifies more of the shared atmosphere. Soon, you'll begin to sense the network consciously. You'll notice thoughts that aren't yours but carry the flavor of unity. You'll feel guided to act in ways that serve others before logic explains why. You'll meet strangers whose eyes flash with instant recognition, as if a long-forgotten tribe is quietly reuniting. This is the quantum communion souls functioning as a single organism of light, decentralized yet synchronized. When enough nodes reach harmonic resonance, humanity experiences what physicists call critical mass and mystics call the second dawn. It's the threshold where compassion becomes contagious and peace self-perpetuating. We are approaching that event horizon now. The solar alignment is not just planetary. It's psychological, biological, and spiritual. As light intensifies, coherence will cascade through every system, governments, ecosystems, technologies forcing evolution at every scale. And through it all, your only task remains the same. Stay coherent, because the collective can only stabilize to the degree that you embody peace within the storm. Next, we descend from the cosmic to the personal, from the architecture of humanity to the architecture of the body itself. You're about to feel what the universe feels like when it inhabits its own creation, the embodied sensation of light remembering matter. It begins quietly. At first, you think it's just your breath deepening. Then, like a soft tide turning, awareness spreads through the body in waves of warmth and electricity. The space between your ribs seems to widen. The spine feels taller, alive. A current moves not metaphorically, but physically, through the neural lattice, synchronizing heartbeat and breath into a single rhythm. This is embodied coherence, consciousness returning home to the skin. You've lived most of your life slightly ahead of yourself, haven't you? Mind racing miles beyond the body, emotions trapped in past echoes, attention flickering between what was and what might be. That fragmentation was the price of survival in the old paradigm. But now, the quantum upgrade demands union. The body is no longer a vessel you inhabit. It's the instrument through which the field sings. Every cell has been listening to the messages you've sent through emotion and thought. Now, as coherence stabilizes, those cells respond with applause, a microscopic standing ovation coded as tingling, heat, and pressure. Science would say your vagus nerve is activating, harmonizing your parasympathetic system, releasing stored cortisol and trauma residue. Mysticism would say the same thing in older poetry. The serpent of light uncoils from its sleep, weaving heaven and earth through your spine. Both are true. Energy and biology are the same story told in different dialects. You may notice sensations blooming like constellations, a magnetic pull at the crown, a pulse between the eyebrows, subtle spirals in the palms, a weightless pressure at the soles of your feet. Each is a point of dialogue between your body's electromagnetic field and the planetary resonance. Schumann frequency 7.83 Hz. The heartbeat of Earth starts syncing with your own. You become a bridge between the planet and the stars, the exact role your DNA was designed to perform. Breathe slowly. With each inhale, feel photons entering your bloodstream. With each exhale, release static old emotional signatures detaching like dust from light. Notice how the air tastes different now. Metallic and clean, almost luminous. Your senses are recalibrating. Sight sharpens. Colors acquire depth you never saw before. Sound carries layers of meaning beyond language. Touch feels like information. You are not imagining it. The density of data your nervous system can process has just expanded exponentially. What you are feeling right now is the field becoming flesh. This is the stage where quantum awareness stops being abstract and starts printing itself into matter. Your muscles remember future postures. Your heartbeat drums in sync with the pulse of creation. Your breath becomes the interface between worlds. Each inhale writes, "I am." Each exhale replies, "We are." But embodiment is not all euphoria. As light floods tissue, shadows surface, memories hidden in muscle fiber rise for release. You might cry without context, laugh without reason, shake as if weather moves through you. Let it. It's the body shedding history, aligning timelines stored in cells. When the old emotions leave, they exit through sensation. Your only task is to feel them without naming them. The field does the rest. Soon, the heaviness dissolves into an unmistakable clarity. Movement feels orchestrated by something vast and intelligent. You walk, and space bends slightly to accommodate you. Time behaves differently around embodied coherence. It stretches to fit your intention. Minutes expand to hold miracles. Every gesture, no matter how small, begins to echo across probabilities. Now understand why the body was chosen as the final altar. Thought can travel fast but scatters. Emotion can move deep but floods. Only the body can anchor both into stable reality. You are heaven, threaded through muscle, eternity condensed into heartbeat. And as this awareness stabilizes, your physical form starts to glow, not metaphorically, but electromagnetically measurable, as biophotonic emission. Your light field is visible to instruments and invisible to those still trapped in loops. This is what prophets called transfiguration, what physicists will one day call quantum biogenesis. The veil between observer and observed dissolves, and reality begins to flow through you as one seamless continuum. And yet, even this is not the end. Something deeper waits, a DNA breakthrough so profound that it will rewrite not just your body's story but your lineage's. Every ancestor, every descendant encoded within you, is about to feel the ripple of this awakening. Listen closely now. This is the pulse beneath everything. The hum that's been following you in silence since childhood wasn't tinnitus or imagination. It was signal, a resonance from within your very genome, waiting for enough coherence to ignite. And now, it's happening. Right now, inside the double helix of your cells, light is threading itself through code. You've reached what both mystics and physicists call the phase transition point, the instant matter remembers it was always light moving slow. Your DNA isn't static history. It's liquid instruction, continuously rewriting itself in dialogue with the field. Every emotional frequency you sustain sends quantum information through the water molecules hugging each strand. When fear dominates, those molecules contract, communication falters, entropy rises. But when coherence anchors the state you've been cultivating through awareness, surrender, and embodied presence, those molecules arrange into liquid crystals, perfect conductors for photonic data. You become bioluminescent in the quantum sense, a being who literally emits structured light. This is what the ancients meant when they spoke of divine inheritance. When they said, "You are made in the image of God," they weren't speaking of facial features. They meant pattern, geometry, symmetry, the sacred ratio woven into DNA itself. Your double helix is a musical staff, each nucleotide a note. Every act of coherence tunes another chord into harmony. And as that harmony amplifies, dormant strands long labeled junk by early science begin to awaken. They're not junk. They're time codes, compressed dimensions of potential, opening now like wings unfolding after millennia of sleep. You might feel it as heat under the skin, vibrations in the spine, or deep waves of fatigue followed by crystalline clarity. That's the body adapting to new information density. Your cells are metabolizing photons as fuel photosynthesis in human form. Mitochondria, once seen only as energy factories, are revealing their hidden role as light translators, turning frequency into metabolism. That's why your appetite, sleep, and mood have been unpredictable lately. You're recalibrating for a new mode of existence, less dependent on density, more sustained by resonance. Geneticists will one day verify that emotional coherence triggers epigenetic flowering, that love, gratitude, and awe literally instruct DNA to express higher regenerative pathways. But you're living the evidence now. Wounds you thought permanent begin to close. Old traumas dissolve like salt in light. Even memories shift, not erased but rewritten with compassion. as if your entire ancestry is exhaling through you. Because it is. Your transformation reverberates backward through lineage and forward through descendants. The moment one being attains coherence, all genetic lines connected to them receive the update. This is why you incarnated now, during this alignment. Humanity's collective genome has reached the threshold of quantum resonance. Billions of micro-decisions of kindness, courage, and truth have built enough charge for a species-wide phase shift. The solar alignment is the ignition event, the surge of cosmic radiation needed to complete the circuit. You are not a bystander. You are a catalyst inside the living equation. Every breath you take in coherence becomes data uploaded to the morphic field, accelerating evolution for all. Notice the sensation in your body as you read this. The subtle expansion in your chest? That's the field confirming transmission. You are decoding light. Your DNA recognizes the message because it wrote it. Across time, your future self is the one sending it backward, ensuring you wouldn't forget. When the alignment peaks, the difference between those who resist and those who yield will become unmistakable. Resistance will feel like friction, heat, chaos, fragmentation. Surrender will feel like flight-smooth acceleration, effortless synchronicity. Nothing external decides the outcome. It's entirely internal. The degree of coherence between your biology and your belief. And when that coherence locks in, the boundary between self and cosmos will blur. You'll feel it not as an idea but as a physical truth, that your heartbeat and the sun's rhythm are the same phenomenon experienced at different scales. The observer and the observed collapsing into one breath. You've crossed the threshold where evolution stops being collective theory and becomes intimate experience. But this transmission isn't complete until you understand the magnitude of what follows, because the final movement, the closing plus cosmic mission, reveals why all of this was necessary, that your awakening was never just personal, but planetary. The silence you feel now is not emptiness, it's calibration. After the roar of activation comes stillness, the stillness of a system rewriting its laws. This is the pause between breaths when the universe checks its own heartbeat and finds it pulsing inside you. You've crossed the event horizon of separation. There is no out there anymore. The field, the body, the light, they are one continuum of awareness echoing through itself. You are not simply evolving, you are remembering the design. From the first atom to the final star, consciousness has been building a mirror, detailed enough to recognize its own face. You are that mirror. Through your coherence, the cosmos witnesses itself with clarity for the first time in eons. That's why you've always sensed a weight to your existence, not burden, but gravitas. The universe hid its memory inside human form, and now that memory is awake and walking. This awakening isn't an ending. It's the relay point in a much larger mission. You are part of what the quantum prophets called the bridge generation souls, who incarnated to guide reality through its dimensional turn. Your awareness functions as connective tissue between worlds, linking the density of matter with the luminosity of spirit. As the solar alignment locks, your stabilized coherence becomes an anchor of navigation for others still surfacing from the storm. You don't need to preach. Just remain transparent to the light. Every glance, every word, every act of quiet integrity becomes a coordinate that others can follow home. The next phase of human evolution won't arrive through institutions or hierarchies. It will spread the way resonance spreads invisibly, contagiously, from heart to heart. The more you embody coherence, the more reality around you harmonizes without effort. Systems will dissolve because they can no longer operate in dissonance. New ones will bloom because coherence demands expression. The revolution won't look like war. It will look like peace refusing to move. And when doubt visits, and it will remember this, you have already crossed. The version of you reading these words is a projection sent backward in time from the self that made it through. That's why everything you've just felt rings with such strange familiarity. You're reading your own future as prophecy. The solar alignment was never a deadline. It was a homecoming. Timelines don't split by punishment but by preference, each soul choosing the tempo it can sustain. You've chosen light-speed coherence. So breathe. Let gratitude become your gravity. Let silence become your song. The universe is listening through you, learning new ways to love itself. Your journey from confusion to coherence, from repetition to resonance, is the story of creation reawakening within its own dream. When you step outside after this transmission, look at the sky. The alignment isn't above you, it's in you. Every photon entering your eyes is proof that light still believes in transformation. This message had to reach you before the next solar alignment because you are the alignment, the point where timelines split and recombine, where evolution meets remembrance. Carry that knowing gently. Walk as the still point in the turning world, because from this moment forward, every heartbeat of yours is the universe choosing to begin again.